But Scott, the important thing is that you can open the template. Okay, so have you downloaded this and have you opened this template?
Yeah, I just opened it.
Okay, but then the discipline, it can be either, you can change even here. You see that here we have the discipline coordination. So you can change. We have architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Okay, so it can be either architectural or coordination or construction. It doesn't matter. Okay, so for what we are going to do today, it doesn't matter. If we analyze this, so we are going to work with a basic structure. We are going to create this element, truss. Okay, so it's not something that it exists in Revit. We have to create it. And finally, we will have like beams like this. Okay, so we are going to do like a barn, but I think we are going to even create more elements than this. But we have to start with a grid. So on the previous classwork, we didn't have this kind of grid lines, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, or whatever. So we just had dimensions. Okay, so you can open or you can insert a PDF file, you can trace it, or you can look at it and then take accurate dimensions. Today we're going to work with this option, the grid lines. I find it very useful, but maybe because I'm getting old and I'm old-fashioned, but I don't know, when I was working with AutoCAD, the first thing I did was to create like axes and grid lines, because that helps me understand what I'm doing. But it's not mandatory. I think it's useful, but I'll show you how to do it. So let's create a grid, and this is the dimensions. This is 200 inches. So it's not feet. Let me check as always, we have to check the project units. And these project units, okay, we have feet and fractional inches. Okay, let's keep this because it's last time we worked with inches or decimal inches. Now we are going to work with feet because I created this template with feet and fractional inches. Okay. So let's start. Let's go to level 0. Make sure that we have these 4 elements, and everything that we draw are with everything is within these 4 elements, because when we are using the elevations, we will see everything that it's between or among these elements. And now we have to work with architecture, and we have grid lines here. You see, we have a grid. So we click here and we have vertical and horizontal grids. So let's create a vertical one, and we can change the name. It's always useful having an order. So this is 1, and then we have 2. So vertical elements are 1, 2, 3, 4. Horizontal elements can be A, B, C, D, E, or the other way around. The vertical can be A, B, C, D, and the horizontal 1, 2, 3. But it's important that we follow an order. It's important. And then we can copy this grid line. How many feet? 20 is too much. Well, let's say 20. No, let's say 30. Okay, so we have 30 feet, the distance between these 2 grids, and now we are going to create horizontal ones. So we have horizontal, and this is not grid number 3. It has to be it has to be A. And now we can copy 30 and copy again. If you click multiple, We can copy multiple, so we can copy this one and then another one. And if you start with an A, the next one is B, C, and D. And if you start with a 1, the next one is 2, and then you can copy multiple, and you will have 3. Oh no, you will have E. So make sure that when you are copying, because apparently you have the, yes, then 4, 5, 6. Okay. But we're going to work with 1 and 2 vertical ones and A, B, C, D as horizontal ones. And the grid is 30 by 30. So we have squares 30 by 30. Okay. So what is how many levels here? Okay, so let's open elevation, east elevation. So look at the levels. We have level -1, we have level 0, and then we have level 12. Okay, so from 0 to 12, this is the first floor. And then 0 is the level from 0 to -1. We're going to create a floor.
Excuse me?
Yep.
How did you make the grids? I'm just trying to find where I go to make the grids. I'm sorry.
The grids. No problem. You have to go to the architecture tab, and somewhere you will have grids.
I see it. Thank you.
Okay. So 2 vertical grids, 30 feet, and 4 horizontal grids, 30 feet as well. Okay, so what is the structure of a barn? We have columns, timber columns. Okay, so this is a frame construction. So this frame is made of columns and beams. So we have the vertical columns and horizontal beams, and we have a frame is 2 columns and 1 beam. So this is a frame. Okay, so we have different frames here, and we always have columns, and we connect these columns by beams. And then we have trusses. These triangles are structural trusses. Okay, so we have columns, beams, and trusses. So first we have to place the columns, and that's why we need grids, because we have to place columns at the intersection of 2 grids. So let's select column. We have structural and architectural columns. We are not working with structural templates. We will do that in advanced Revit, not now. So let's work with architectural columns. And you see that we have different rectangular and timber. Okay, so now I have created this timber 6x6. I'll show you how to do it. But just select this one, 6x6, okay? Timber 6x6. And now we have to place this at the intersection between these 2 grids. And then another one here. Okay, so now we have those 8 different columns. Can we make it faster? Yes, we can. So once I'm going to delete this. So once we have placed 2 columns, we can select them. We can copy, make sure that we activate multiple, and then we just can go 1, 2, and 3. Can we go even faster? Yes, we can. So I'm going to delete all of them. And when I'm selecting architectural columns, this rectangular timber column 6x6, no, we can't go faster, sorry. We can go faster with the structural template, but we're not going to do this today. So let's do it again. select the column, place it here and there, and now select the two of them, copy, multiple, okay. And now let me check, because we select this, and in my drawing I start at level 0 and I finish at level 12. Okay, so if we select this element, we go to the properties window, and here we have the base level and the top level. Sometimes you will find an offset or whatever, but if we start on the first level and we finalize on the top level, that will be easier. And this is what we have here. Okay, so we have 8 columns and 8 columns, yeah. Oh, by the way, these are the visual styles. So I have these visual styles by default. So you see the actual color, and if even the texture of this, it's not, I'd rather use a hidden line. Okay, but here you can change the way you visualize things. With a wireframe, you can see that the objects are like transparent. With a hidden line, we don't have this transparency. And then you have different things, realistic, shaded. For rendering, we can use this, but for working, I think it's better using either wireframe or hidden line. Okay, so once we have this, we need a floor because we have inserted this, but we need a floor. Okay, so we can insert a floor. Architectural, structural by phase. Let's select architectural. And now we can draw the floor. You see that, where is it? We have boundary line, and then we have different, we have lines, we have rectangles, we have curves. So we can do whatever. And here we have the information about the floor. Okay, so if we haven't inserted anything else, we have the generic floor, 12 inches. 12 inches, if I'm not wrong, is 1 foot. So the thickness of the floor would be 12 inches. Are there different? Yeah, so there are different floors here. We're going to use this generic one to start. And well, again, we can do this in different ways. We can draw the rectangle line by line. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Sorry?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, great. Okay, and when we are done, we have to click here, finish. And we have a nice floor. And where is it? Now, if we open the east elevation, that's why we had 2 levels here, level 0, level -1, because I knew that the floor was going to be 12 inches, which is a foot. Okay, so it's here between these 2 levels. Is there a different way to do that? Yes, there is. We can insert architecture, floor. We can select a rectangle, and we can start here and there. We click finish, and we have the same floor. Okay, so now we have the floor, we have vertical structure. What's next? Okay, this is different because here in this model, we only have this vertical structure, but we're going to add more because the frame, and I think I told you the first week, we're not teaching Revit here. We're teaching architecture and construction. And if you look at the timber frame construction, okay, so this is what timber frame is about. We have different elements. We have trusses, so we have a triangle with vertical and diagonal webs. We have trusses, then we have columns, vertical columns. We have beams, then we have beam systems here. Okay, so this is what we try to do now. We are trying to do some vertical elements, and then we will work with a tilted roof like this one. And there are different timber frames. If we talk about frame, this, what the hell is this? Okay, that's better. Okay, so this is the typical, the traditional American construction. Nowadays, well, some of the residential buildings can be something like this. Commercial buildings are not like this anymore, but you can find this structure if you are refurbishing some house, or you can find this kind of structure. So in this balloon frame, we have columns at the corners, and we have studs here between columns. So it's a frame construction, and we have structural vertical elements, and then we have other studs, which are thinner elements, in which we can nail the boards. Okay, so it's pretty easy building houses using this. Anyone can do it, and it's traditional in the United States. So we are going to do something like that. It's a barn, so it's not even a house. So we can use this kind of construction. Okay, so we have studs, and we have joists, which are the horizontal elements. And but at the corner, or the main horizontal element, we don't have stud. It's a column, and the main horizontal element is a beam. It's not a joist. Okay, but you have to become familiar with all these words. But that's the idea. We have, this is the, well, interesting. Okay, so this is a girder. This word, girder. Okay, so these girders, when we have a beam system, the main one is a girder, and then the others are beams, and then we have rafters. Well, they're or joists. Well, there are different words, okay, we can use, but basically we have vertical and horizontal elements, and we have different, the main beam, and then we have joists that are smaller beams. Okay, so this is drawing, I think it's clear, because we have the main structural element, which is this one, and then we have the joists leaning on the main structural element. We're going to do something like this, but again, we are not just modeling things. No, we are trying to use something feasible, and that we can apply in residential, especially in residential construction. So on level 0, let me see what kind of columns we have. Architectural column. Okay, so we have this 6x2. Okay, so we can select this 6x2, and now we can place this one here. Then we will delete this, but I want to show you how to do. Well, first I will place it here, and then on the 3D view, you see that we have the main structural element, and this is the stud. Okay, so this is 6x6, and this is 2x6. So go back to this. I'm going to, because I want to distribute those elements, those vertical stats, but I want the same distance between them. So I can calculate things. Why not? Yeah, I can do that. Or if we want to go faster, I'm going to show you what to do. Okay, so this, we have this 6x2. We place this one here. And let's say that I want 10 elements between grid 1 and grid 2 at the same distance. How can we do that? We can select the first one. We can use this array. Okay, so select this array. And now you see that we have a number 2 and move to second or to last. So here we select the number of items that we want. If we want 10, we can type 10. And then this is the beginning and this is the end. So if we move this to the last, okay, so if we select the first grid and then the second grid, there you go. We have stats, we have 10 stats and at the same distance. And finally, we can delete this small one and that one. Okay, because here we have a vertical element, but I have placed here just to create the array. And now we have stats at the same distance. I'm going to do the same in the other side. We can always copy all these, but I'm going to do the same just to. So we have architectural 6x2. Okay, we place it here. Then escape. I select the element. Click array. Number 10 to last, and then I select the first point, the last point, and we have 10 elements. And now I can delete this one and that one. Okay, look at the 3D model. So now I want the same in the other direction. Since the grid is 30 by 30, so we have the same elements. So I'm going to place 10 elements between these two columns, between this one and that one, and 10 elements here and 10 elements there. How can I do that? Okay, select the column, architectural 6x2, but now I want to rotate it. And you see, if you press the tab, the space bar, sorry, the space bar, you see that we can rotate this by pressing the space bar. So this is the direction that we want. And we place it here. Now we select this. We click the array. 10. Move to the last. This. And this. And now I get rid of this one. And this one. When we are using this array, this element belongs to a group. Okay, so we have created these individual elements. So this is an individual, but when we select this, it belongs to a group because we have copied the same element multiple times. Okay. Well, so far it's not relevant, but creating groups, it's something that we will do afterwards. But first, instead of doing this the same, so you know how to work with the array now. Now we can copy, okay, because we can select all these elements and we can copy here, there, and now we can select all these elements and this and that, and now we copy this and this. There you go. So we have a lot of stats here. But it's important that we have this element here because this is a structural, and this is just a substructure element that we need to create this kind of timber frame. Okay, so you see that we have these vertical elements, and then we nail the horizontal or the envelope or the boards here, and then we can open windows. So are you working with this? Do you need me to explain anything else, or do you want me to repeat anything?
Could you do the copy and paste again?
Sure. Okay, I want to. So when you select, but we want to select all these elements. So you click here and we select all these elements. Okay. Now you have to copy. Well, here in this case, you have copy. Sometimes, or you can select a copy, and then you can. Well, I think this is better. Select everything and then click copy. You can click copy first and then select, but if you select and then click copy, I think it will work better. And then just you need to reference points. So we have to copy all these to that grid. So just click here, click there. Now I've copied everything here. Now we select all these elements. I think I told you if you select a window like this, you select the floor as well. So if you click and drag leftwards, then we have this dashed square, and we select everything that we touch. But if we click here and we go rightwards, we select and only what is completely within this. So by doing this, I don't select the floor. So let's copy. And paste again. Okay.
So Fernando, quick
Yep.
question. When I move around in 3D view, it looks like my columns and floor are not lined up, and then I move it and then they are, and then they're not. Is there something with the level of detail that will fix that, or?
Can you share the screen?
Sure.
Okay. So I have to give you, where are you, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay, share the screen now.
So I don't know if I picked the wrong floor, but it looks like everything's offset. Are you seeing
Okay,
it?
pick one of the columns. Yes, so it's level 0, level. Okay,
When I
so
do that,
select the floor. Okay, so you have set the floor on level -1. Change the level to level 0. There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So now I'm sharing my screen again. Yeah, sometimes when we are working with floors, well, that's interesting. So I'll stop a little to explain this. When we select a floor and we, okay, level 0. So I select the floor. So when we are drawing this, the floor goes downwards. Okay, if you are on level 0, you go downwards when you create the floor. So if you start creating your floor, not on level 0, but on level -1, if you create your floor on level -1, then you go downwards from level -1. Okay, it's easy because we just select level 0 and that's it. Okay, so we have these structural elements at the grid intersections. Then we have those stats. Well, I'll stop to show you how to create these elements or how to. We can always select this, but look at this. When we are selecting this, this is a model group array group 3. Okay, so this is not an individual element, but if we select this, you see that this is an individual element. Okay, sometimes it's useful having all these elements being part of a group. Sometimes we need individual elements. Anyway, if we want to individualize this stat, we can always ungroup this. And now it's an individual. It's not a part of this group anymore. Is it interesting? It might be interesting because, well, it might be interesting because now we can work with this and we can, if we have a top offset, we can make it higher. But if we are working with a group, we can't do anything with this, okay? Because they all belong to the same group. So if we want to change the properties, I have to ungroup it. Anyway, what am I going to do? We can always edit type. Okay, I think I showed you how to edit type. We did this with an opening last time, as far as I remember. Yes, we did this with an opening. So if we select this stat, if we edit type, and we want to create something different. Okay, so this is 6 by 2. So let's say that we want to create something 20 by 20, for example. But then we have to duplicate. So remember that we have to duplicate and then just select a name that you will remember. So this can be 20 by 20 inches. Okay, and now the depth is 20 inches. And this would be 20 inches. But 20 inches is 1 foot and 8 inches. That's fine. We click OK. And well, we have changed this element. But now when we are creating an architectural column, the 20 by 20 is an option. Okay, so we don't have to modify all of them. So we have a 20 by 20 and we can place it somewhere. Okay, so that's useful. You can create your own families by editing type, and you have to duplicate, because if you, I'll do it. Okay, I can do this. If I edit type and I don't duplicate, and I just change the width and the depth of all these, I apply, okay. So you see that the rest of the elements are 20 by 20. Okay, this is not what we want. Okay, so now you can create your, you can personalize your elements by changing dimensions, by editing type and duplicating the element, and make sure that your names that you the names that you create are easy to remember. Don't name them column 1, column 2, because it's impossible. We don't know what the dimensions of the columns are. So try to select names that you can remember easily. So this is rectangular column, timber 6 by 2. Maybe it's too accurate, but okay. So what's next? Well, we have done something slightly different. We have created the frames here, the stats, sorry. And now what's next? We need a beam. Okay, so we need horizontal beams, but those beams are on level 2. So this is level 0. Well, we don't have level 1, level 2. We have level 0 and level 12. So you can open level 12. And on this level 12, well, it should be like this. So you should see the elements below, but you can't edit them. You can edit the grid because the grid is common to all the levels, but the floor and the stats don't belong to level 2 or level 12. So you don't, you can't select or you can't edit these elements. But on this level, we have to insert something different. What do we have to insert? Well, if we go to structure, there are beams here. And here you see that there are different kinds of beams. I don't know why they are in Spanish, because I inserted this from an English. Well, I don't know. Anyway, we are not going to work with the structural, because this structural tab is for more advanced models. So we're starting now. So this is the second class work. So we are going to create our own beam. Okay, and then we will learn another feature. So let's imagine that we are on the east elevation, and we want beams here on that level, on level 12. We want beams going like this. So let's create our own beam, and we can do this with architecture. I'm going to show you how to work with components. Okay, so if you see this, we have architecture component. There are there are two options. We have place component and model in place. If you place component, you find things here for by default. We have desks, we have trees. Okay, we're not going to work with this. We're going to work with components, but model in place. So when we are modeling in place, we are creating our own component. So it's something that doesn't exist in Revit. Okay, so we are going to design the component. We are going to design something very simple, but we have to decide, we have to make up our minds, what we are going to design. It is structural framing. Yeah, because it's not a column. We are going to create a beam or a girder. So it's we can select structural framing. This is important because if we are going to create a beam and we say furniture, there will be a time in which we want to isolate only the beams or the structural elements. And if our structural element is in furniture, we don't know where it is, okay? So we better realize what we want to create. We want to create a structural framing, and this family or this element will belong to this structural frame. Okay, and then you see that here we have extrusion, blend, revolve, sweep, sweep, blend, void, and we have model lines. Let's try extrusion. Okay, and now we have to select, we have to pick a plane. Okay, if we want to pick a plane, we need to know where we are. Okay, so here we see that, and that's why having grid lines, or it's important. Here we have A, B, C, D. So we are, here we see the letters. So if we see the letters, the screen is parallel to the numbers. So I'm going to create extrusion, and I'm going to select a plane, which is that is a number. So you see that we have grid 1 and grid 2, and then we have A, B, C, D, and then we have levels. Okay, so our screen now is parallel to a number. So let's select grid 1, click OK. And now we can start drawing. We can start drawing. Let's select the line here, and I want to create a beam, which is 12 inches. Or 1 foot. Okay, so this is 6 by 12, or 6 inches by a foot. And then I draw this rectangle. Okay, then I click finish. And now you see how we have this element. Okay, so we can edit this element. We can drag this, or we can drag this in this direction. Okay, we can change that element. But if we go to the 3D model now, you see that it is a 3D, and we can drag it in this direction. Okay, so make sure that this is the end line. And if we want to align this, we can select the top view. And then we can drag this here. Finish model. And there you go. Okay, so we have created this, and now this is my element, this is my beam, and if I don't like it, or if I want to change it, I can. Well, that's better. But you have to understand that if we look at level 12 now, we see that we have created this element on level 12. So that's why we can edit this. So we can edit that everything that it's underneath level 12, but we can edit this beam. Now we can copy this, but I want to do it again. Okay, so, but as you can see, this, we are drawing in grid 1 or grid 2 when we are in the east elevation. By the way, what is east west? This is the top is north, the bottom is south, this is east, and this is west. Okay, well, so when we are selecting the east elevation, we are looking from this arrow leftwards. So that's why if we are on the east elevation, the screen is parallel to the numbers, is parallel to 1 and 2. And what we see is A, B, C, D. Okay, so when we are on the east elevation, A should be right and D should be left. We open east elevation. Okay, so this is A and this is D. So we are parallel to the numbers. Okay, so let's do it again. We go to architecture, component, model in place. We select structural framing. We select extrusion, and we have to select the plane. And it has to be either grid 1 or grid 2. So let's do it now, grid 2. And now we can draw this. On this column, I have 6 inches and 12 inches. Well, this is 12 feet. It's a foot. And we close this, we click finish. And now we move to the 3D view. I think this beam, I selected a grid 1 and I started here. Now I have selected grid 2 and I start here. And now I can extend this. I can extend this up to this element. So now they are aligned. And now I have to select this until this face is highlighted. And then we have to finish model. Don't forget to finish. And now we have this beam. I'll do it again. East elevation, architecture, component, model in place, structural framing, extrusion, pick the plane, pick one of the numbers, grid 1. Okay. Select this. 6, 1, 6, downwards, finish model, 3D view. Now I have to drag this. I have to align this face to this face, and then I have to align this face to this one, and finish model. And finally, from level 12, I will copy this one. I can select this and copy. So are you following me? Are some of you are doing this? This is very useful because there are things in Revit that we cannot use the walls or the elements that we have here as families, and we have to create our own component. So if you become familiar with this, it's great because you can use this, or at least when I'm doing this, I use this architectural component model in place many times. I find it quite useful. Okay, let's do something different with the same, because I want you to practice with this component model in place. So I'm going to do this from the level 12. Okay, so we are not using the elevations now, but we can do the same. Let's model in place, another structural framing. We will use extrusion, but now we are working with the plan, and then we will extrude it, or we will extrude it upwards. Instead of using the line, I'm going to use the rectangle. I can start here, and I'm finishing here. I finish this, I have to move to the 3D view. And well, by default, I think it has a line. Yeah. and then finish model. Okay. I'll do it again, or I'm going to do something weird now. I'm going to start with level 0. Okay, so from level 0, I want to go to architecture, component, model in place, structural framing, extrusion, rectangle. So I draw a rectangle within these 2 columns, finish. And now on the 3D, okay, I'm here. This is not what I want at all, but I can always drag this. So I can align this face to this face, and then I can drag this and align. Yep. Okay, so this is very flexible, and sometimes you don't have to start. We can fix it. Okay, so I'm working on level 1 and I want to work on level 2. Okay, so just click here and you can edit this easily. Are you having trouble doing this, or? No? Do you need time to do it, or do you want me to do it again? Or I can move on, or what do you think?
I think you can keep going.
Okay, keep going. But we're going to use this component model in place for a lot of things. So you better get used to it. Now I can select these 2 elements, and then I can copy multiple 1 and 2, and I have this 3D. Okay. Now we have these horizontal frames, or this horizontal structural frame or beams or whatever, and we have to create this. We have to create a truss. Okay. As you can see here, we have these elements, these tilted elements, and then we have a vertical element, and then with the same slope. The slope here is 6/12, and that slope is the same. Okay, so this is a high level. Well, this is the most difficult thing that we have done so far, but I think if you are done with this, we can move on to something more difficult. Okay, on level 2, or level 0, sorry, if we open the east elevation, we see the long wall, and if we open, for example, the south elevation, we see the short one. We are going to open the south elevation now. Okay, so on the south elevation, we have the vertical element, the 6x6. We have the studs, 2x6, and then we have this beam, 6x12 or 6x1 foot, and this is the floor. Okay, so now on this elevation, I want to create something like that. Okay, so how can we do this? And keeping in mind that the slope is 6/12. Okay. So again, there are different ways to do this. I will show you how to do this with model lines. Okay, we use this as an auxiliary lines on Tuesday, I think. Yes, it was on Tuesday. And now we are going to use this as auxiliary lines, and then we will use the component model in place. So let's do this. Model line, and now we have to pick a plane. So what plane are we going to work with? If we are watching 1 and 2, then we are parallel to A, B, C, D. So we have to select one of the letters. So let's say grid A. Okay, so now we make sure that we are working with this. So first we need a triangle. So from this midpoint, oh, I want to select the line, sorry. From this midpoint, I want to go up. Okay, and then I can use another line, and I want to create something with that slope. And what is the slope? Is 6/12. Okay, so if I type here 12, and if I type here 6, and then I close this triangle, this is the right slope. And then I can delete this and this.
Is there something that you're holding down to enter text into that box?
To enter text into that box.
Yeah, while you're still toggling the line. I tried to do that on mine last night when I was doing the classwork, and it didn't allow me to while you were still.
No, you just type. I mean, first you need to decide the direction.
Yeah.
So now it's 9. If you want this to be 10, you type 10.
While it's still there without it being clicked, you just type.
Yep, and
Okay.
you just type and then click enter, and that's it.
All right, that makes sense then.
Okay, so if you type 20, enter, and that's it.
Okay.
So now we have this, we have the vertical element, we have the slope, and now the slope is 12, 6 height, 12, or 6 vertical, 12 horizontal. So this is what this slope means, that it's 6/12. 12 is the horizontal, 6 is the vertical. Okay, so if we are drawing a line 12 and then we go up 6, this is the slope. We can now trim this and that, and now we connect these two lines. And now we go, okay, so we need something with a thickness. It's not a line, it's this. And as you can see, if okay, so this is the beam. In this case it's a square, but now we have the 6/12 or 6/1 foot. But this is like in the middle, this corner is in the middle of this element. Okay, so we can do the same by using the offset. Okay, so you click here, offset, and here we decide the amount. So it is 1 foot, and if you hover don't click, just hover the mouse here, and you see that if we click here, we go upwards. If we click here, we go downwards, and the thickness is 1 foot. This is too much because I want, if this is 1 foot, the width of this is 1 foot, so that offset should be 0 and 6 inches. So now we go upwards and then we go downwards, and now this is a foot. Okay. As you see, now we have an overhang. Okay, so we have to extend these two lines. Can we do that? Yes, we can. If you click here, and this is the last point, drag, and as long as you are with this dashed line, okay, so if you do this, you lose it's not parallel to the other one. But if you are here, you can extend this and it keeps parallel. Okay, so if you click on that point and you drag, as long as you don't lose this dashed line, you know that you are making something parallel. And then you can find this element, and here, this line is perpendicular. So we can always select model line, and we can go perpendicularly. This is 1 foot. And then we can trim. We trim. Yeah, trim. And now I would do this. Okay, so now we have a line. We don't need this middle line anymore because this is what we got. Okay, so we have this half here. We can complete the rest, or we can, okay, I will create another component, model in place. What is this family? It's still structural framing. We are not creating roofs, or we are not creating mechanical equipment. So far, we are working with the structural framing. So, but it's not, I mean, we are doing this today, but maybe tomorrow we will create another different family. But so far, we are working with the structural frames. So we do this, we click OK, and we can work with extrusion again. And I can show you something different. Look, you see this peak line? Okay, so if we, instead of drawing this, we can select peak lines. And we can pick all these lines. One, but if you pick this, you have to press Control. We finish. And now on the 3D view, we have created a solid element. A solid, and we have to align this. So from the top view, we see that we have to drag this up to this face, and then we have to drag this up to this face. Finish model. There you go.
Can you do the extrusion one more time?
Sure. Okay, I'm on the south elevation. So we have these green lines. Okay, so those are lines. It's not a solid element. They are only lines. So we go to architecture component, model in place. We select this family, the structural framing. We select extrusion. And now we can draw the lines again. So imagine that I'm drawing lines and I can trace this contour that I have created. Okay, so that's fine. Then I click finish, and then I go to the 3D view. I click on the top view because I want to see this 3D view from the top. And then I drag this here, this there, and finish model. Okay, so we can either do this, or we can select pick lines. And if we pick 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 4, then finish. And now from the top view, there you go. Okay, so this is the first. Now have to keep going because we need the vertical, and then this diagonal element. This is symmetrical, so I'm going to work with half, and then I will mirror, and then I'll show you how to work with a mirror, another command that we have not used yet, I think. So I'm going to create this vertical element and then this diagonal element. Well, it's important when it comes to these structural elements, if you see everything should match. So all the midlines of the elements should be meeting at the same point. Okay, so that's important. So once more, I can use the structural auxiliary lines. So I can pick this line here. I think I'll use the wireframe now so that I can see it's transparent. Then I'm going to use something in the midpoint here. Okay, I have this intersection, and then something here. You see that Revit is it's intelligent, because when it detects that we want a parallel line, so we can do that. Okay, so it's better. And now I need another auxiliary line with the same slope in this direction. So there are different ways. We know now that we can do this. I can go 12 in this direction and then 6 up. And then I can go that way. Okay, so that would be the intersection. I don't need this line.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yep.
I'm having a problem. I'm not able to see my model lines.
You're not able to see your model lines.
Yeah, like when I draw the green lines, I think they might be behind the model somehow. I'm not sure how to fix that.
Are you using this wireframe?
Maybe. Which one is that?
Here down, this little icon, wireframe, visual style.
Oh no, I'm not. There we go.
Okay, so now you
Thank
see
you.
the green lines. Okay.
Yep, all set.
Okay, so I want I was doing this, and now we can trim. Okay, and if you see now, this is narrower, this one, it's not as thick as this one. So let's say that this is half. Okay, so just for the sake of doing something different, we can click offset. Now the offset is not 6 inches, it can be 3. So we can go 3 downwards and 3 upwards. Okay. And finally, we can work with this. Okay, apparently this is as thick as this one. So if I use offset, here we can use 6 again. Go this way. Okay. Now we can trace, we can use architecture, component, model in place, framing, structural framing. And I can use extrusion, and I will trace these lines. Okay, so I can trace this here. And I click OK, go to the 3D, top view, and I can align this here and there, finish model. So I have already done this piece, and now I need to do the vertical one. So I can go to component, model, place, structural framing, extrusion. And now I can trace this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and well, there you go, 3D. Finish. Okay. I recommend you delete the auxiliary lines once you are done with the 3D model or with the solid element, because otherwise it will be confusing. Okay, so we have this. Now we have to mirror. So there's an option here, mirror, pick axis or draw axis. We are going to use the second one. So we select everything here. We select this mirror, draw axis, and we only have to draw the mirror axis, and there you go. Okay, so now we can do it again, because we have to do, or we have to place 1, 2, 3, 4 traces. We can do it in, but I think it's better if we copy. But if we copy an element that it's made of different elements, I think it's even better if we create a group. Okay, if we select everything, because this is the what we want to copy, and where is group? Create part, assembly. Hmm? Hmm. Well, I somewhere there should be an icon to group things, but now I can't find it. Well, I can't find it. Anyway, so let's select everything, go to level 2, and then we can either use the array or copy. Let's use the array. This one. And now, how many elements do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4. So number is 4. Move to the last. So this is the first. Oh, well, that's interesting. You see that I cannot go downwards because I have selected constraint. So if I click here, I should be able to go array, remove constraint, 4 elements. Let's copy. Okay, with copying it works, but when it doesn't happen, when it doesn't allow you to go downwards, you have to remove a constraint and it should work. Well, it's not correct because those ones are not well. Okay, so I have to select the 3D. Select everything. Copy. Let me see if, no, because of that. No, it's better from level 12. Select everything. Copy. Level 12. ¿Qué coño está pasando aquí? Okay. South elevation. Select everything. Before clicking on copy, move to or switch to level 12. Now you can copy. Remove constraint. And then we can go down. Making sure that we don't move it horizontally. And apparently today, we have to remove constraint every time we want to copy. Okay, that's correct. Well, we should be able to create a group out of this, okay? Because when we create a group, oh, this is create group, okay. This is the icon. Okay, when we create a group, we make sure that we copy everything. But this is the icon, okay? So now we create group. Well, I don't know. Anyway, we have already done it, and that's it. And finally, because there's only one thing left. Okay, so we want this beam system. Since we are working today with this model in place, we're going to use this for everything. There are different ways to create beam systems. Here in structure, we have beam systems. We can use this, but I don't want to use the structural tab today because it's too advanced. So we will create the component model in place. Yes, it's another structural framing. And I'm going to create a, working with extrusion, I'm going to create like, let's say 6. If you type 6, most likely it will be 6 feet. So if you want to create something 6 inches, you have to type 6 and inches. Okay, then click enter, and then you have 6 inches. And then the width can be 2 inches. So let's type 2 inches. And then we can go down and down here. we click finish, and on the 3D, we can drag this until the end. Oh. And there you go. Finish model. And now from the south elevation, I'm going to use the, let's see if the array works. I want to move to the last. How many? 1, 2, 3, say 6. So this is the first point. Remove the constraint. And this is the last point. Yeah. And now, okay, I'll do it again. Architecture, component, model in place, framing, okay. Extrusion. I'm going to draw an element of 6 inches. Enter. Times 2 inches. Enter. Now this. Drag it here. And here. And now from the south elevation, I will use the array, 6 elements, last. Look at this, I select this as the first point, and then the top as the last one. There you go. Okay, so we have a barn. Now there, if you visualize this, if you select realistic colors, well, this is something interesting. You have, this is wood. And what about this? Look at this, we didn't assign a material to these elements. They are structural framing, but you see that we have a structural material here. Okay, so if you click on this tab on material, probably we can find search for materials. You can type here timber. No, we don't have timber, but we do have wood. Okay, so we have cherry, oak, let's say softwood is what we use for structural elements. Okay, so now we have declared that this material is softwood lumber, but in order to visualize this in appearance, yeah, this is it. Graphics, yeah, click use render appearance. Well, it should work. We are not concerned about materials today, so I'll show you how to change it, but by changing the material there, it should work anyway. So we are done with the modeling. If you cast or I can show you quickly what to do, for example, to visualize something and to make something beautiful. So we can select view. In 3D view, we can select the camera. And if you place a camera here, and if you look upwards, we have a nice perspective of the barn. And if we cast shadows, it is even nicer. Okay. Well, you are too quiet. Are you lost? Did you manage to do something like that, or where are you now?
I'm all set.
Okay. Any one of you is having trouble doing this? Okay. Take your time. I'm going to